Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to go over how to get to the closing table smoothly and efficiently after accepting an offer on your home. Here we go! Hey, my name is Claudia Muniz with eXp Realty, and today I'm going to walk you through the home selling process, from signing the contract all the way to closing day. I will break it down for you here in 9 steps. In my previous video, we discussed how to navigate showings and how to select the best offer to align with your real estate goals. I am so glad that you successfully selected an offer and now you're really ready to get moving. Pun intended. Now, the second stage of the home selling process begins. This is where the buyer wants to get to know your house and draw any red flags out, hidden flaws, or big surprises before the home purchase becomes official. The buyers can easily use any of those contingencies as a way to back out of the deal and keep their deposit money. That is why it is important for sellers to be prepared and put their best foot forward during the second stage process. Sellers should make sure that all repairs have been taken care of before the buyer arrives, that the home looks its best, and that all necessary paperwork is ready for when the time comes for them to review it. They will also likely request an inspection from a professional inspector, and sellers should ensure that they are available to answer any questions regarding recent repairs or maintenance. Finally, it's important to remember that even though this second stage may be nerve-wracking, it is a good opportunity for buyers to get to know the home and make sure they want to proceed with the purchase. Sellers should be open and honest about any issues their property may have to ensure a smooth process. With the right attitude and preparation, this phase can go just as smoothly as the first phase of negotiations. At the end of the day, both parties will benefit from a successful sale. Stick around and I'll give you a step-by-step guide from accepting an offer to the closing table. Step number 1 is signing the contract. When signing the purchase agreement, take time to read it carefully. It will likely include terms like earnest money and contingencies. Earnest money is an amount of money that you pay as a show of good faith in the transaction. Contingencies are conditions that must be met in order for the sale to go through, such as inspections and financing. Make sure you understand these terms before signing on the dotted line. The purchase agreement should also specify what happens if either party does not fulfill their end of the deal before closing. This could include penalties or repercussions that need to be considered before proceeding with the contract. Finally, make sure to set a realistic closing date so you have enough time to move out and prepare for the new buyers to take ownership of the house. Step 2 is attorney review. Once all the parties have signed off on the purchase agreement, it enters into a 3 business day attorney review period. During this time, the buyers and the sellers go over the contract with their real estate attorney and request changes within the document. If any changes are made during this period, then the attorney review process is extended until everyone agrees to the new terms. If for some reason all parties cannot come to an agreement, then the contract can be legally canceled without any repercussions on either side. One of the most important things to be aware of during the attorney review process is that the listing agent must present all offers that they receive to the seller. It is still within their power to accept any new offers that come their way. The seller may even choose to cancel a deal or switch if they find another offer more suitable. It is important to remember that the seller has the power to do this without any consequences. This means that buyers should submit their offers as soon as possible in order to have the greatest chance of it getting accepted. After attorney review is concluded, the contract is now legally binding. Once a contract is legally binding, both parties are expected to follow through with their obligations as outlined in the agreement. In most cases, the seller must remove the property from the market and cannot entertain other offers from buyers. The buyer is obligated to schedule any necessary inspections and apply for a mortgage. Once attorney review is complete, buyers still have a chance to back out of the deal. However, at this point, it does come with consequences. The seller is legally allowed to keep your earnest money deposit. This is because when you put down the earnest money deposit, you are effectively promising that you will go through with the agreement outlined in the contract. Therefore, if you were to back out for any reason that isn't outlined in the agreement, you will lose your earnest money deposit. It's important to be aware of this before deciding to back out of a deal after attorney review has been completed. In addition, if backing out of a deal does become necessary, it is recommended to speak with an experienced attorney for the best advice and guidance. With their help, you can be sure that you're fully aware of any risks or potential consequences. Step number 3 is the escrow account. Once the contract is signed, an escrow account managed by a neutral third party, typically your attorney or title company, is open to store all of the funds until the deal closes. The funds in the escrow account are only released once all of the conditions of the contract have been met and both parties fulfill their obligations. This ensures that any risks associated with the deal can be addressed before the money changes hands, allowing both buyers and sellers to feel secure during the transaction process. In addition, a mutually agreed upon third party may provide additional oversight over the transaction, ensuring that all parties comply with all applicable laws and regulations. With an escrow service in place, buyers and sellers can rest assured knowing that their interests will be protected during the purchase or sale of a business. Step number 4 is the title company runs a title report. The title report will identify any issues that must be addressed before the sale is completed. During this process, the title company or escrow agent may request additional documents from you in order to ensure clear title on your property. This could include proof of payment for outstanding taxes or liens, as well as legal documents to remove any encumbrances that may have been placed on the property. If there are any complications with title, such as trusts, deeds, or other ownership issues, then it is important to work with an attorney in order to resolve these matters prior to the closing. It's important that all documentation required for clearing title is collected and submitted prior to the closing so that the sale can proceed efficiently. Step number 5 is earnest money is deposited. At closing, the earnest money deposit will be applied towards the purchase price of your home. If something were to happen to prevent the buyers from completing the sale, you may have the potential to keep their earnest money deposit, unless they are able to prove that you were directly responsible for the failed sale. The escrow company or attorney handling your transaction can provide more information on how this process works in your particular situation. In general, however, it is important to remember that even if something prevents the closing from taking place, there's still a way for you to benefit financially from an earnest money deposit. In most cases, having an earnest money deposit offers both parties some protection during a real estate transaction. Buyers have assurance that their earnest money will not be wasted in the event of a failed sale, while sellers know that they have some assurance that the buyer is serious. By understanding all of your responsibilities and obligations regarding to earnest money deposits, you can make sure that you get the most out of your real estate transaction. Step number 6 is the home inspection. Home inspections are typically scheduled within a week to 10 days. It's essential that you prepare yourself and your home for a home inspection. If everything goes well, the buyers won't have any reason to back out of the deal. But if there are unexpected issues lurking beneath the surface, like plumbing or electrical problems, it could be enough for them to void the contract. Fortunately, there are certain steps you can take to make sure your home passes its inspection. Start by taking care of any small repairs around your home before anyone comes in for your inspection. Check all door frames and baseboards, look for water damage in the basement or attic, and inspect all windows and doors carefully. Make sure everything is in good condition before allowing inspectors into your home. You should also make sure that the inspector has easy access to any areas that need to be inspected, such as the water heater or the furnace. If you have any home improvement projects in process, make sure that they are not obstructing anything that needs to be checked. Finally, provide the inspector with the information about your home, including the age of the appliances and when the last time major repairs were made. Be sure to ask for an honest assessment of your home's condition. This can help you gauge a realistic appraisal of what kind of shape your home is in so you can address any issues before it's too late. With these tips, you can ensure that your home passes its inspection and is ready to close. After a home inspection, the buyer may make requests for the seller to take certain actions. These requests are typically in the form of a document that lists any repairs or additional items that need to be addressed before closing on the sale of the property. The seller will then have to decide whether they want to accept these requests and agree to make the necessary repairs or adjustments. Depending on the situation, they may be able to negotiate a price reduction or other concessions in exchange for making the requested changes. If the seller does not agree to any of the buyer's requests, it is important for the buyer to understand the risks involved. The seller may not legally be obligated to make the requested changes, and if the buyer still wishes to purchase the property, they will have to accept it as is. If the buyer is unwilling and unable to do so, then they may need to walk away from the deal. Step number 7 is the home appraisal. A home appraisal contingency is a very important part of the home buying process, especially when the buyer is getting a mortgage. The lender will order an appraisal to make sure that the property value matches up with the purchase price. If there is any discrepancy between what was agreed upon and the appraised value, then it could create problems for the loan approval. When a home is underappraised, it means that the value of the home is lower than what the buyers are currently willing to pay in this market. This can limit the amount of money that a buyer can borrow from a lender and reduce their purchasing power. It can also result in an unexpected increase in down payment requirements and closing costs due to the lower amount of money being loaned. Ultimately, an underappraised house can cause significant delays or even derail the transaction altogether. However, if the appraised value meets or exceeds the price on the contract, the home sale can continue as planned. Step number 8 is the buyer secures financing. It's important to note that buyers are typically responsible for obtaining a pre-approval from a lender prior to making an offer on a home. This will ensure that the buyer can actually secure financing and proceed with the purchase once their offer is accepted. If there's no pre-approval in place, you may insert a mortgage contingency into your agreement to protect yourself. A mortgage contingency stipulates that if the buyer does not have an approval for their loan within a specified amount of time, usually around 30 days, they are entitled to withdraw their offer without penalty. This allows you to move on to another potential buyer without any repercussions. Additionally, if you accept a bid on your home from an investor who will be using their own cash funds instead of taking out a loan, it may not be necessary for you to include a financing contingency in your contract. And the final step, step number 9, is closing. Closing day is a special moment for all parties involved in the home purchasing process. After months of hard work, negotiations, and paperwork, it's exciting to finally get to the end of the process and hear that magical phrase, clear to close. At closing, documents such as deed, loan note, if applicable, settlement statements, and other closing documents will be signed. The buyer's mortgage balance, if applicable, will be paid off at this point, and all parties involved in the closing process will receive payment for their respective services. Once all the paperwork has been signed and all payments have been processed, the transfer of your home to the buyer is complete. Congratulations! I think the best way to do business is to stay informed. I hope you found this 9-step process helpful, and if you're still looking for more information on all things real estate and Central New Jersey, subscribe to my channel or check out the links in my description box below. Thanks for watching!